Hello my cake lovelies. Today I'm going to share with you how to make a beautiful buttercream blossom cake. Buttercream is back in a big way this year, and right at the heart of that are buttercream flowers. Now you know how much I love to pipe. I'm going to be sharing with you so many different designs over the coming months, but I wanted to kick it off with something just a little bit simple but still absolutely stunning. So I'm going to teach you how to make this blossom cake using just 2 sizes of the same blossom flower, some little buds and some little leaves, and you have yourself a stunning buttercream cake creation. Now to make these beautiful blossoms, I have made up some of our sweet buttercream recipe. You can find the details for that below, and I've made it in Wilton's creamy peach food color. I absolutely love this color. It is so gorgeous, and we have 3 beautiful shades of that. We also have a green as well as some lemon yellow. Now when we're creating these blossoms, I'm going to be making them in 2 sizes. So I'm choosing to use a 104 as well as a 102 piping tip. And these are just 2 really standard sized rose petal tips. Now I've also got some number 2 piping tips that I'm going to be using with making our little buds to go along with it. As well as on our green we have a leaf tip, which is a 352. I have a number 3 piping tip to help with those buds that I mentioned. And then just in the center of all of our blossoms, I'm using a number 1 and a number 2 Wilton piping tip, just in order to create our little blossom centers. Now we're also going to use some cookie sheets. You just need some sort of a tray so that you can pop these into the fridge just to let them set up and make them a little bit easier to handle. I have a flower nail that I'm going to be piping all of our blossoms onto, and I've also cut up lots and lots of little squares of parchment paper, and that's what we're going to be piping our flowers onto. All you need to do for that is just to take some parchment paper and just chop it up into little squares. So first I'm going to show you how to make the larger blossom using our 104 piping tip. Just going to take a hold of our bag, place a little bit of buttercream onto there, and then we can pop our parchment paper down. Just smooth it out, and that just means that it won't go anywhere. Now placing the largest part of your petal tip at the bottom and your skinniest part to the top, you're just going to lay it down on a bit of an angle. It's basically like a 45-degree angle, and you're just going to go out and back in, rotating the flower nail as you go until you have 5 beautiful petals. Then we're simply going to take that off and place it onto our cookie sheet. And it's just really nice fluid movements as you're making your 5 petals. You just squeeze and release, continuing to turn your flower nail. Switching to our medium color and using our 102 piping tip, we're just going to make some smaller blossoms. Squeeze and release, and just this time you want to pull it down in towards the center a little bit more, just because they are so tiny. Turning your flower nail as you go. And you want to go ahead and make both sizes in all 3 of your creamy peach shades. And once you have a tray full of blossoms, you can just pop that into the fridge. Now once your blossoms have set in the fridge for just about 10 or 15 minutes, you can go ahead and place the little blossom centers in. So I'm using my lemon yellow in a number 2 piping tip for the larger blossoms and a number 1 for our smaller ones. Now to go with our beautiful blossoms, I've chosen to make my cake really simple. So I've just done a smooth buttercream finish. You can check out below some links to some other textures if you'd like to jazz yours up a little. But what I'm going to do now is basically I'm taking my colors. I have the smaller 102 tip on my piping bags, and I'm just going to be adding a little bit of buttercream onto the cake surface, unpeeling our flower from our parchment paper and just placing it down. Give it a little press, add some more buttercream, and then add another blossom. And we're just going to build it up on this side and then have it slowly taper away on the other. And I'm even going to pop a couple onto the board. And just a couple of blossoms falling down. So now that you've finished attaching all of the blossoms, it's time to add the leaves. And this is where we can really add some depth into it. So I'm using a 352 piping tip, which is basically like a V. It kind of looks a bit like a snake tongue. And the way that you use this is that you keep it upright like it's a mouth opening and closing, not sideways. Okay, and then what we basically do is press it up against where you want to go, squeeze, and then release and pull away as quickly as you can. Now the final thing to add is just some little buds, which basically is going to be little clusters of green dots, topped off by little dots of our colour. Just using a number 3 tip for our green and a number 2 for our colour. And there you go guys, we have a beautiful buttercream blossom cake. Piping doesn't have to be difficult and you don't need to know a million different flowers to create a gorgeous floral design. Thanks for watching guys, I hope that you got a lot out of this lesson. Stay tuned as we will be making more and more flower designs.